welcome back. Now today I have got an awesome video to do with you today. Now this is my latest steam locomotive that I have designed. So this is the Y-Class from Victorian Railways. Now I don't know a whole lot about the Y-Class, but I do know that it looks like a little bit like a tank engine, but it's got a tender of course. So it doesn't have the coal bunker on the locomotive itself. It actually needs it in a whole nother separate area, which obviously is called the tender. But yeah, this Y-Class locomotive is fresh out of the oven. I literally just finished designing this model today actually. And my latest thing to do with the Y-Class was actually the cab interior, since I was unable to find any actual images of the real locomotive's cab interior. So I looked a decent amount, but eventually maybe I might find what it actually looks like. I had a tiny glimpse of the cab interior, but not very good. So I kind of just looked at another Victorian Railways kind of tank engine looking locomotive that would have the same kind of style as the interior, which we'll get back to that later in today's video. But yeah, that's basically how I did the cab interior. So here is the Y-Class locomotive. Now, this is currently what the Y-Class is going to be in terms of color. I know it's not exactly the green, but it is Lego, and it's also very difficult to make sure all these pieces exist in the same color. And this lime green actually quite surprised me. Like, all these pieces exist in lime green, apart from these window bits here, which as you can see have an exclamation mark. They do not exist in lime green, unfortunately, which really suck, because if you actually turn those to any other color, it just ruins the front. So yeah, we kind of just want to ignore that, and we won't be building it in real life anytime soon, so maybe eventually that might come to lime green, or there could be another option. But yeah, this locomotive was quite difficult to design indeed. It's actually off the grid, so basically what that means is it's not on next stud inwards, it's actually half a stud inwards for a lot of this stuff, since the Y-Class locomotive actually has a little bit of the running board pinching outwards and not have the wall exactly on the running board. This is also another locomotive I had to use the cheese slope boiler design, because the actual original boiler, the size I was going to use, was a little bit too big. And then the cheese slope boiler definitely gave me a better look, but still is slightly too small. But there's not much you can do about that, and I definitely prefer the way the cheese slope boiler looks compared to what it would have originally looked like. And yeah, these wheels obviously do not exist in dark green, but no need to fear, since if they're in black they'll look completely fine, but dark green I think looks the nicest. It's the same with the South Australian steam locomotive that I built, that I changed those wheels to dark green and man, they looked good. So yeah, we can always just paint them dark green in real life if you really want to, so that's honestly the plan. And you can see I have a little bit of the brake pads for some extra detail to make the bottom seem a little less, you know, plain and boring. And yeah, just use overall some more modern techniques that I have managed to get over the years of designing and building my own steam locomotives. Now, I haven't been able to find any other Lego Y-Class locomotives out there for Victorian Railways, so this may just be the first Y-Class Lego locomotive that's been built. Who knows? But I'm not entirely sure. But as what I can see, yeah, this is honestly the first one. Which would actually be really cool if I could have that title. But obviously it's unknown, and who knows, maybe there's someone out there who just hasn't shown it yet. But yeah, this piping is in a bit of a mess, but that's because the piping on this in the program absolutely sucks. You cannot angle or stretch or anything like that very well. It just goes all over the place and it's an absolute nightmare. So these piping, in terms of their lengths and their sizes and how they're actually done, will all be connected in real life. because in real life you can flex those pieces a lot easier than on this program. Now I believe this bit here is like the whistle, so there'd be a little bit of a wire that goes from the inside of the cab. You'd blow that and it would blow the whistle. You can see I've got some more detail here. I'm not sure if these are like the air compressors or something, or the water pumps. I don't know everything about a steam locomotive because there's lots of parts on the loco. So I saw that on the locomotive on the real one, so I decided to add it. And some extra bit of detail there too, and detail there where this gold pipe would actually bend into that bit there. Now the front of the train actually has a bit of like a kind of clock look to it, kind of like Puffing Billy. So that was also quite nice, and there's some black sausages which would represent this railing going up and curving around, connecting to that piece and going back the other way. So the sausages are just there to represent what it would look like. And it might actually be the only way to get that, because this thin tubing, I don't think it bends as well, but who knows, maybe it might work better in real life. And then of course we got the number plates. I put those in dark green as well, which looked quite nice. I'm not sure whether this is like called the valve gear, so basically that controls the locomotive's forward drive or backwards drive from like, I think this is what you like flick back and forth to control that, called the valve gear, which is actually quite interesting. And we've also got the circle windows here as well. Unfortunately they do not exist in any kind of transparent color as far as I can tell, so they had to remain black. White looked a bit weird, so I just left it black. So let's have a look at the locomotive's tender, shall we now? So the tender, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like these wheels are a little bit too small and need to be slightly bigger. But then again, they don't look too bad. And once again, some more black sausages used for actual detail on the locomotive's tender. And I used a whole brand new coupling system as well, so it's a little bit more easier to connect it without getting some ugly buffers in the middle of it. I'll need to add the magnet coupling in there somewhere, but I'm not sure how that's going to work out, since it's going to be at a certain height, but I'm sure I'll be able to get that to work out. I probably end up figuring that out later, but don't worry, it will be compatible with my other locomotives. You can see the tender here, where it's got like the coal bunker, so all the coal would be here. I had a look on the model of the Y class, and it kind of had this kind of slope design without the coal in it. So yeah, and these studs you can just place like a long black plate here and stud it up with coal, or just put loose bits of Lego in there to create coal. Nothing too complicated there to add more coal there. And then of course this is the bunker where you would shovel in the coal and put it in the firebox, or the fireplace. Unfortunately, I actually was not able to get any fire. Like, the cab was very strict in terms of like the size I got to work with. So let's have a look at the cab interior. So here is the cab interior. It's probably not the most accurate to like the real Y class, but this is what one of the cabs kind of looked like in one of the pictures I found of a locomotive that looked similar to a Y class's cab interior, so I kind of just based it off that. You have to forgive me with that because I'm not entirely sure where there are any pictures of the real Y class's cab interior. So this locomotive is based off Y112, because I think that's the one that is operating in steam rail. So this place here would be where the fire would be, and you'd shovel the coal into here. Along with some other detail, kind of put like a water gauge and some like maybe like pressure gauges or something to like see whether the boiler's going to explode or not, or overheat. Then just some random detail, some more gears and some levers. And I think this is the valve gear which I said before. You can see a little bit more of a better way of how I coupled the Y class's tender. So yeah, adds a bit of red too, because like that's on the real Y class as well, the real Y112. And I think this locomotive turned out pretty well for what it actually is. I am quite happy with how it turned out. It was a little bit annoying to like try and get like the studs being half a stud inwards. That was a bit tricky, and then had to kind of mess around with the boiler too to make sure that looks good. But overall, I think it turned out pretty good, and I'm quite happy with the end results. So yeah, that's basically the Y-Class steam locomotive from Victorian Railways. Now I wanted to do a little size comparison so you could actually see how this locomotive would scale in terms of my other locomotives. Alright, so I've got the R-Class here, and here is what the Y-Class would look like right next to my Lego R-Class, which I've actually got the real Lego R-Class right beside me on the computer with the E2 tank engine, because the E2 tank engine is also kind of like a small train as well. But yeah, I also discovered on how to add the big drive wheels to the Lego program. So the same kind of drive wheels that you'd have on my real Lego R-Class. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share that kind of information on YouTube, because I haven't seen anyone else share that as far as I can tell. So I would say there is like a website somewhere there. You can search up how to like add these big drive wheels to Lego Studio.io, and there's like a whole train file, and you can just submit that, make connection points for the parts, and then add it, and you'll find it in your custom part selection. So that's basically what I did. And yeah, it actually looks a lot nicer than just small wheels on the R-Class. So, yep, the R-Class and all the other locomotives that have the big drive wheels now have the correct size wheels. So as far as I can tell, I believe this is correct in terms of like height. How the Y-Class locomotive is supposed to be a decent bit smaller, but is shorter in height towards the R-Class. Then obviously you can see length, the R-Class is much longer than the Y-Class, which is really good. As for the passenger carriages, they're about 2 plates or maybe 1 plate taller than the Y. So yeah, that'd be 1 plate. 1 plate taller than the Y-Class locomotive. It honestly probably should be more accurate if it was like 2 plates taller than the Y. So yeah, that's basically the R-Class locomotive as a size comparison next to the Y-Class, and let's check out the E2 tank engine. Alright, so we've got the E2 tank engine, and as you can see, this locomotive still looks oh man, quite a bit smaller next to the Y-Class. I'm actually not entirely sure if this is accurate. To me, this definitely does not look accurate at all. Wow, that is a small locomotive, damn. Maybe it is, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, the E2 tank engine is so small, it makes the Y-Class look big. Well, there you go, that's what the E2 tank engine looked like right next to the Y-Class. So I reckon that should just about wrap up everything I wanted to say when it comes to the Y-Class locomotive. And yeah, what do you guys think of this brand new locomotive that I designed? Do you guys like it or hate it? Just let me know down below in the comments what you think about this locomotive, if you wish to say your opinion. So, thank you guys so much for watching this brand new model that I've designed, the Y-Class, based off Y112. And yeah, I quite enjoyed designing this model. It was a little bit of a difficult model to design in the first place, but it turned out decently well, and I'm quite happy with the end results. So, thank you guys so much for watching this brand new model that I have designed, and hopefully you guys have all enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys all next time, which I may upload. Probably chapter 17 of my story will be next. And just a quick quote. to show you guys. Here's my Lego R-Class with the E2 tank engine. Looks quite nice indeed, and quite small. So yeah, see you guys next time.